Oh,
Big poop.
let's go,
Dude,
boys.
sick intro. What number?
To be fully honest, I don't remember. I'm going to guess 63.
Actually, yeah, you're right.
Nice. Let's go.
I think that's what two or three in a row that you've been right on.
Let's go, boys.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah, we took a little break. I'd caught COVID for the past like week, and then with it being like, New Year's and all that stuff, it's been a busy couple weeks, at least for me. And I know you've just been doing nothing but playing The Witcher, so I guess it's been a busy week for you.
It's been busy as well.
Like, I remember I texted you that one day in like our normal game night, and it was like 9:00, and you're like, dude, I'm still at work.
Oh, yeah, that was rough. We had to close the entire year for the company, so that was rough, but we did it.
I feel like they should have done that sooner, but this isn't a podcast about time management.
I was going
and
to say, if you
hitting
want to talk
fences.
about closing financial periods, I'm happy to.
I mean, if you have that information off the top of your head, I know we've mentioned multiple times, like talking about, financial, like fiscal year stuff on gaming companies. It's like, if you have info on it, by all means, I would be more than happy to talk about that.
I was going to say, I haven't actually researched it, so I'm not prepared to talk about EA
God damn
games
it.
or any of that.
I actually was excited. I was like, oh shit, we're actually going to get to talk about it.
Like that?
Well, yeah, sure.
Like that?
Christ.
What do you have on your agenda?
I mean, one of the things I want to talk about was like, I kind of want to talk about, I know we've talked about it a handful of times, but I feel like I at least want to talk about Dark Tide a little bit.
Sure.
And honestly, like, even though Dark Tide's been the main thing, and we've touched on it before, and I know we're going to go into that, but it's just like, I've been seeing it like more and more on social media. Like, I've just been seeing like the acceptance of just games being shitty. Like, I know, like, people always used to be like, oh, like these games need to be fixed, yada yada. But it's like, it seems like now, because it's been happening so much, I've just been seeing people on social media just being like, yeah, this is the norm. Like, why even complain about it at this point? And it's just like, cool. Like, we've really hit that point in gaming where like we're accepting garbage.
What's the current game that this discussion was about?
I don't remember. I mean, I remember seeing things about Dark Tide, because, I follow a lot of Warhammer stuff. It honestly could have been about that. I think the other thing I saw people talking about it was Callisto Protocol, like back in the day, and like just seeing people still like, now that it's all fixed and stuff, just being like, hey, it's great that it's worked now, but it's just like,
It wasn't when it released.
why did we just accept that? Like, why wasn't, and I don't know if it really works, if we could kind of talk about it with Harry Potter, but like people are always like, I'm gonna boycott this, or I'm not gonna get it, and then it's just like the game comes out and it's just like, hey, this game hits record sales, and it's like, you guys really just love saying like, oh, I'm not even gonna buy this, and then it's like, oh, it's
and then
cool.
they buy 6
and then
copies
it's
of
like,
it.
yeah, and it's like, dude, it was like Call of Duty. Like, people like, oh, I'm not getting Call of Duty, and every year Call of Duty comes out, they beat their previous year, and it's just like, y'all really just like virtue signaling. Yeah, it's like y'all really like virtue signaling, just being like, oh, I'm gonna take the high ground. I'm not buying this garbage. Buys it.
Yeah.
Puts Activision at their highest sales ever made.
But I think
and
you're
it's
going
like,
to buy it anyway.
yeah, it's like, I mean, even like, there's some games like I haven't bought Callisto Protocol yet, but it's like I'm not gonna discredit it. I am gonna buy it at some point, but it's like I'll wait until I know it's 100% good to go. But I'm not gonna be like, oh, never getting it. I'm never playing it. They don't deserve my money. No, I'm gonna play it. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and act like I'm not.
Agreed. I know what you mean.
And then something kind of going off that thing too, with like people boycotting and doing that. Kind of wanted to talk about something funny I saw with Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay.
And then that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. And then I don't know if you had any specific things on mine.
I've got a few topics to cover. Obviously, I want to talk about The Witcher again, since I've been playing a lot of that on the next gen patch. I've got some smaller things to cover. I guess I can throw a few just headliners out now. I don't know if you saw this, but again, relatively relevant to gaming and media. Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland faces felony domestic violence charges. So cool dude on that one.
I remember seeing that headline. I completely forgot to bring that up.
Yeah, so very cool on that one. He was released on $50,000 bond. So very cool.
I'm assuming this just happened too, right? Like,
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know anything about it. I just saw the headline and briefly skimmed through the article. I don't want to spend too much time on that. It's just like a, hey, good one.
It's so deep.
Yeah, nice. Other than that, another fun tidbit I'll throw out is on the business side of things. So I didn't know that Saudi Arabia, what they have an investment fund that is like run by the country. So it's like the Saudi Arabia trust fund. I guess it's the
That's
public
weird.
investment fund. And so anyways,
So it's like a stock. It's like a stock of the company, essentially putting it in like layman's terms.
well, it's like, I guess,
Or-
I guess it's more like a pooled group of resources from this country. And then I guess they buy stocks and maybe it funds public projects. I don't know.
Okay.
But they just
Interesting.
bought 6% of all of Nintendo.
Wow.
So that's a little odd. I don't
Had to have
want
been
to
a
project
big
on
purchase.
how I interpret that, but apparently they've had a stake for a while, and it finally just now got up to over 6%.
I'm assuming that's a big stake too.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
6%
huge.
doesn't
6%?
sound like.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
massive. That's got to be. I mean,
Okay.
that's got to be billions and billions of dollars.
That's interesting that they have that big of a stake in it.
Yeah, I'm trying to on the fly here see if I can find out how much that actually is.
I feel like it's probably going to be pretty hard to figure out that information.
Blah, blah, blah. So they also own $1.6 billion worth of shares of Electronic Arts. I didn't know that.
Nice.
So I didn't realize that they were so interested in this. Very interesting.
I mean, gaming is like a big moneymaker, and it's like, they've got the funds over there to invest in it. So it's like, I mean,
I was going to say, full
probably gonna-
disclosure, Kevin, did you ever, remember when we were talking about this years ago, did you ever buy that, what was it, like a money market fund? It's called Hero.
yeah, the like esports one or whatever.
Dude, I don't know. Part of me is like, usually if you make a bad investment, like I can figure out, oh, here's where I went wrong in my thesis. I'll fix it, not do it again next time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck are these guys doing? They've lost like half of my investment that I put into them, and it's like, you guys couldn't have an easier thing to do. It's an esports and video game stock. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So anyways, I won't go down that rabbit hole, but it pisses me off. It pissed me off earlier today.
Well, speaking of like esports and stuff like that, I've been noticing, and I don't know if there's a correlation because I don't think they're big esports like brands, but they're not like publicly traded ones. But I have been noticing that like a bunch of like big esports like brand and stuff have been like laying off lots of their staff, and I don't know if that's due to like inflation and not being able to pay them, or like poor sales or poor content or what. But it's like I have noticed that like big companies have been laying off or big like esports brands have been laying off like chunks of their staff.
Right.
So maybe there's something going on in like the esports gaming scene that just we're not aware of. I don't know.
Fix it.
I like that.
I mean, goddamn.
I mean, you're right though. It's like it's games. Like, how are you messing this up?
Yeah, so a little frustrated with that. But anyways, Saudi owning 6% of Nintendo is massive. For a single person to own that much of a stock that big is huge.
Yeah, that's. So you weren't able to figure out how much it was. I mean, obviously,
No,
it's
I
huge,
probably
so.
can if you remind me for next time.
All right. I saw a thing like just talking about like money in esports and stuff like that. I saw there was so in Valorant, one of our favorite games,
God.
so in professional games and stuff like that, there's like crypto betting sites, and like teams are like throwing, so I guess there's like insider trading with the teams and stuff like that, and like teams are throwing.
I had lunch
like on these
I had lunch with Christian today who mentioned this to me, and I had not heard about it, but I was going to bring it up.
And like I haven't read much about it. Maybe I'll read into it some more. But it's like there was a big scandal that happened like years ago with Counter-Strike with the same thing, where there was like skin betting, and a team was throwing because the odds were so against them. But it was like, I find it funny that it's happening again. I'll read some more into it because I think that's interesting. But it's just like, hey, cool, like we're throwing professional Valorant games because of like crypto scams. This is sweet. This is badass.
I heard it's a little deeper than that. I heard it's It's people are being bribed. Professionals are being bribed to throw games with crypto. Like they're giving them crypto if you lose this game.
Maybe it was that. I know it had to do. So I know all I know is it had to do with crypto. I could have sworn it said something about like betting, but I'll research into it and we'll talk about it next time. Because yeah, it's, I don't know, good one. That doesn't surprise me that of any gaming community to like pull that trick again, it's Valorant.
I hate Overwatch.
Overwatch is next.
I hate Overwatch.
You love Overwatch.
I'm so burned out on that game, everyone.
Yeah, I'm kind of gotten burnt out too. It's like it's fun to just go in there, pick a fight, and then just get off.
I only play if I've had drinks.
Fuck yeah. Oh, that's gonna sound great on the cast.
Oh, you sick?
Yeah. So
yeah.
So just because I think you'll find it funny, I'm actually about to go check right now to see if it's still like it. But so you know how like on Steam, like whenever you go to a game and you click in it and it'll be like you could see all the tags that people are like tagging the game with.
Yes.
So it's like, you know, let's say you go to like I just click Choo Choo Charles because it popped up right there. So it's like popular user defined tags, survival horror, open world horror, first person. So Hogwarts Legacy is about to come out, you know, the Harry Potter or Wizarding World game. So because those are user submitted tags, and I don't know how much you follow like the Harry Potter thing, but J.K. Rowling's kind of a bitch and people are not fans of her. And also I haven't read too far into it. It's like, I guess, but like people are saying that Hogwarts Legacy, cause it's like, you know, you're fighting against, like goblins who are like, you know, they're like the evil monsters in that game that you're fighting against because they're like having like an uprising for essentially like their freedom. And people are just being like, yeah, this is like racial allegory of just like you putting down like a indentured, you know, persecuted group of people and you just quelling their rebellion with like violence. And it's like, okay, like I don't think it's that, but like there's also the theory that the goblins, like they're all the bankers in the Harry Potter world, and like they're goblins, they have like the big goblin noses, and people have said that like J.K. Rowling used them as an allegory for Jewish people. I'm like, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm like, all right. So essentially people are getting mad at Hogwarts Legacy because they're just like, oh, it's racist, it's this and that, J.K. Rowling's a piece of shit. So people were tagging the game, like at one point it was like genocide simulator, like capitalism, like all these like really negative tags. And like people are like, oh, I'm boycotting the game, like they're tagging it with all this stuff. And it's like the game's not even out yet, but the pre-orders already have it as like the top selling game on Steam. And it's just kind of like, hey, y'all did it. y'all got your point across. Y'all are the heroes.
And then they buy it anyway.
I mean, like, I'm gonna buy the game. It looks fun. I've wanted a Harry Potter game like this for years. It's like, I'm gonna buy it. Like, I feel like, I guess like it's 2023 now, but it's like, yeah, we're in this like super woke, super PC, super virtue signaling world, but it's like, yeah, J.K. Rowling sucks, but it's like we can still separate the art from the artist, you know?
Right.
It's like the same thing with people who it's like, yeah, you know, people are like, oh, like Michael Jackson was a terrible person, but then it's like, you know, if they're at a party and a Michael Jackson song comes on, they're out there fucking dancing their ass off. And it's like, okay, like, you know, you can sever. It's like, yeah, he was a piece of shit, but it's just like, you could still enjoy like the stuff that was made, like, and still acknowledge that they're a bad person. But it's like people just love to be like, it's all or nothing. But then, like you said, they're gonna buy it anyway. So it's like, why are y'all just doing this fake? Yeah, I mean, it's literally like, let me go to Steam right now. I mean, last I checked, so store, let's see. Top sellers. Okay, One Piece Odyssey is a top seller right now. Hogwarts Legacy is the second top seller. But then again, the Hogwarts Legacy pre-order has been out for months. And it's just like, hey, good one, guys.
Well, before I forget,
Dead Space is on there too.
Well,
fuck yeah.
Remember how upset you were about Avatar?
Yes.
So apparently it's number 7 worldwide sales already right now, ever. And
really?
the reason I'm saying this is because I wanted to point out that
I think it has to be number 4 to break even. I think that's what it said.
I thought you said number 2 or something.
Maybe. I thought it's 4 or 2. It was one of those.
So this is a headline from GameSpot. I haven't clicked on the article, so I can't see who wrote it, but the headline is Avatar 2 will quote-unquote easily be profitable. So James Cameron is moving ahead with the sequels. You like that?
I still just love the fact that like he was like, hey, the movie's so long, you're going to have to go to the bathroom, but you'll see what you missed when you come back and watch it again. And it's like, you fucking asshole. Piece of shit. Way off topic. Speaking of fucking movies, I haven't watched it yet, but apparently like they made like a Puss in Boots movie, and apparently it's like ridiculously fucking good.
Really?
Yeah, everyone says like it's one of like the best animated movies ever made. Like even like movie critics who I like watch on like YouTube and stuff. Like there's a guy watching, like, you know, he goes to like film festivals. He's like one of the biggest movie critics on YouTube, and he did a top 10 movies of 2022. And he was like, my number 11 as an honorable mention is Puss in Boots. He's like, it is like one of the best movies I've ever seen. And everyone else is like, yeah, it's like one of the best animated movies ever made. And it's like, dude, what the fuck? So it's like, I just thought it was, and like, it's like ratings wise, I don't think sales wise, maybe, I don't know. But I know ratings wise, like it's above Avatar, which kind of makes me laugh.
I do like that.
Like it's like got like a 90 something % on like Rotten Tomatoes, like a high 90s. And it's like, hey, Avatar's getting whomped by like a Shrek spinoff movie. Get fucked.
Do you want me to trigger you real quick?
Oh, sure, I'm in.
So you remember how we had our long conversation about how like if a story's good, there's no need to change it, right?
Yes.
So I just want to throw that this is another headline. The Last of Us TV series writer teases changes from the game. Why?
What's funny too is like,
why?
Yeah, I also saw that like the scores coming out for this TV series are like really high also, but it's just like hearing you say like, you know, teases changes, and it's like,
oh, you look at my changes. Look at
like,
them.
I'm sorry,
I didn't write the
like,
original game. I wasn't good enough to come up with the story on my own, but look at my changes. It's changes.
Like they could have adapted the game like 1-to-1 to a show and it would have been good. I mean, you play Last of Us, right? Like you beat it, or?
No, I'd never beat it. I've never been a huge Last of Us fan, but I mean, especially if it comes to PC, I'm sure I'll play through it, man.
It is on PC, I think, or it's coming to.
Yeah, I think it's coming. It's not here yet.
But yeah, I do like though that they got what's his name to play Pedro Pascal. I like him.
Yeah, I like Pedro Pascal.
So I'm assuming he'll do good.
Teases the changes. Well, one thing I will throw out just before I forget. So I don't know if you saw this, but the FTC. Remember we were talking about the FTC with Microsoft and
they're like suing or whatever.
Yes. So the FTC has set its targets on somebody else now. And so remember, the FTC. The whole point of it is to come in. They claim they're protecting the consumer, right?
Sure.
So they opened a massive lawsuit against our friend Steam.
Why? Interesting. I haven't heard about this one, so let's hear.
And so the reason I highlight this is that, you know, I'm the first person that will call out something and say that's bullshit. You know what I mean? Or like, you know what, fuck that company. Yeah, they should get destroyed. You know what I mean? And so I saw this when I was scrolling through Facebook the other day. And so I was curious because I saw the posting and I saw there were a bunch of comments on it. And I was curious to see, what is the general population going to say about this? You know, like what are other people who play games, use Steam, what are they going to say about this? And so I just took a screenshot randomly. I didn't even pick this. I took a screenshot randomly, and I'm just going to read what people are commenting on this post. Steam is safe, trustworthy, and great on returns and amazing community. These are all different, by the way. I've spent a good amount of time on Steam, and every penny was well worth it. Steam has provided amazing value. Steam has always been good to me. I've gone through the customer service a few times, and they've always done right by me. Next comment. Again, this is like the fourth one down now. I love Steam, and I don't think I would do this to them. They've always had a great return policy, which for so many years us gamers didn't have. So my point being is that I scrolled through pages, and I couldn't find a negative comment about Steam. So what the fuck is the FTC doing?
Yeah, I mean, did you by any chance like dive in to see what it was about or no?
I didn't, other than it was, again, saying the same thing they always do, that Steam's taking advantage of consumers with non-competitive practices. And, you know, my first comment is, I've had some issues where I bought a game, it was fucking shitty, like Verdun 1944, whatever, if you remember that game.
Yeah.
I hated it, and I just returned it, and within seconds, I had my money back. How many companies do that? You know what I mean? Like, they have a pretty much no questions, don't ask, don't answer on their policy.
And even with because it's like their policy is like less than 40 or less than 2 hours played, or like you could return it within like a week or something if you haven't played it. But it's like, even, when like Cyberpunk came out and like all these broken games, like they bent that policy for, refunds past that point. So it's like, they were very consumer friendly.
So, and I found more details on it. I'm just going to read a blurb from it.
FTC sounds very bored.
So it says, the suit alleges that Valve has broken antitrust laws with Steam, controlling developers through exploitative action and preventing fair competition. The case revolves around Steam's domination of PC gaming marketplace, its expansive 30% revenue share, and the rules it places on developers trying to sell games elsewhere. So some of those things, to be fully transparent, I don't know dick about. The way I'm responding to this is as a consumer and user of the product.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if Steam is, pretty aggressive. That's like their market. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they kind of have that market locked down, so it's like, they can do it. It's like, I don't know how bad it is. And like, but the thing too, it seems like, I don't know the loopholes for it, but it's like talking about, like them forcing devs' hands or whatever the word you were using or phrase you use. But it's like, it seems like anyone can make a game and put it on Steam. So it's like, how aggressive are they? And like, how forceful are they with their stuff? If like obviously not being like, oh, it's a shit game. It's like, look at Choo Choo Charles, like, point example. It's like, that was just some dumbass idea some guy just had for fun. It's like, put it up on Steam. Go look at Steam. Like,
some dingus
anyone can make a game and put it on Steam. Like,
right.
So it can't be that, at least in my eyes, it's like, it can't be that aggressive if it's that easy,
So that's where
like these indie developers, it's not like they're rolling in money.
I figured I would throw that out there just because I saw that and I was like, of all the companies to go after, Steam. Are you serious?
The FTC's I think they're just bored.
It's like, of all the companies to go out after that do shady shit, you're picking Steam.
Yeah, they're bored. They're just like, how can we piss people off today?
Like, what are we doing here?
Go after EA or Activision or something.
No, Activision CEO said that they found no wrongdoing, therefore they're good.
God, why does Bobby look like just a wet, deflated balloon? That piece of shit.
I do like that.
Shocker. Literally Bobby Kotick. Dude, speaking of shitty devs and games and stuff like that, if we could, I'm sure you'll have some thoughts on it too, but is it just me, or is Darktide kind of a letdown?
So I remember when it came out, that was my first impression, was that like, yeah, it's cool, but it's just missing something. And, I've played a lot more since we probably first talked about it.
And it's like we had opposites. Like, you weren't the biggest fan of it, it seemed like, when it came out. And like, I was like, oh, this is badass. And like, now you're like, hey, you're having more fun with it. And I'm just like, ugh. Like, I'll still play it. Like, every time you're like, hey, want to play? I'm like, yeah, but it's just like, I don't know.
It's still missing something though. And, the state that the game is in is unacceptable. The amount of crashes is unacceptable.
Yeah, you crash every time we play almost.
Right. If I'm in a 4-person party, at least one person's crashing during that and having to reload in. That's not acceptable for a game that's not claiming to be in pre-access.
No, so remember, that's the funny part. So if you own Darktide and you go to your Steam, the game is out. But if you click the little tab on Darktide, and so like, like whenever you do that on Steam, a little banner pops up on it or whatever. It's funny because the Darktide one still says Darktide pre-order beta.
What a joke.
So it's like, it's technically a full release game, but it's like, maybe it is a pre-order. I don't fucking know, but it's like, and I just feel like it's like, I still play.
They didn't charge like it was a pre-order.
I still play the game. We still enjoy it, but it's just like, I feel like it was also lazy because it's like, maybe it's because I'm biased because I've listened to some of the audiobooks. So like, that's what I expected, the voices to sound like. Like, the audiobooks sound more, I guess, regal is the word.
Every voice actor is a failure except the Ogren.
And it seems like the voice acting in this, like, for all the people, they almost have kind of like a Cockney British type of accent instead of, I guess, like I said, like a regal high Gothic accent. And it's just like, it sounds, the voices, and we've even agreed, the voices they sound great on Vermintide because, you know, Vermintide's more fantasy based like that. It sounds like Vermintide voice actors in 40K, and it just
is.
like it is. But yeah, except the Ogren. The Ogren is good because it's like kind of hard to fuck that one up. Just kind of sound dopey, and it's like you've got it.
Boss.
A boss. Mo.
I do like the Ogren. But it is like, missing something. It's missing a story that actually matters. It's missing a reason to come in and continue to play the same maps.
Yeah, and it's like there's even like those cutscenes that happen, and it's like I don't know if they're part of the story. It's just every one of those cutscenes is just a new person barking orders at me, and I'm like, is this a fucking
you not to fuck up?
Yeah, and I'm like, is this a story or is this just like introducing new characters? I don't fucking get it. Like,
oh,
and it's like the other thing too is it's like I mean, you know, Vermintide 2. We beat that entire campaign, and it's like, you know, it goes from like villages to like big cities to like forests to like castles on top of mountains to underground caves, and like there's all these crazy biomes and levels, and it's like,
amen, brother.
And then Darktide is just like like don't get me wrong, hive cities are cool, but it's just like, you know, I can only play a hive city so many times before I'm like, okay, this is
and some of the objectives suck ass.
Yeah, like it's like there's potential, but I'm just like, man, like I feel like there needed to be more time. Like y'all should have maybe tacked on 6 months and like put more shit in there.
Agreed. It's not, and it was already delayed once for like 6 months, if you remember.
Yeah, and I know I mentioned Spencer every time too, but it's like the soundtrack has hit a point where it's like it just bothers me so much now.
Right.
It's this weird cross of like techno music with like Gregorian style chanting, and I'm just like, this is just terrible. It's so bad. I don't know. Maybe in a few months it'll get better, because I remember Vermintide added that Chaos Waste like secondary game mode. Maybe they'll do something like that in Darktide. Who knows?
Right. Agreed. It needs something. It's missing something. You know, right now, if you made me give it a grade, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10.
I'd probably be the same, like a 6 or a 7.
Right.
Like I'm not going to turn it down, but it's like I'm not also going to go out. I won't
it'll
suggest
be forgotten
that I'll
in a year.
Oh yeah, for sure. Unless they add more shit, that game's gonna fall off. But you know what game's not gonna fall off? Overwatch.
I hate that game.
Dude, I don't know what to think of that game anymore. It's so tiring. They could just I don't know.
You like that?
I saw an article too. It was on Kotaku. I was like skimming it earlier today. I don't really remember who it was by. Just like I said, I was skimming it between like drawings at work, but it was just like someone complaining about like how Overwatch 2 competitive just like sucks. The ranking system sucks. Like it makes no sense. Like there's just all this stuff, and I was like, oh, it makes me so glad to see someone just being like, you know, I lost a couple games, won in spectacular fashion, and like a bunch of them, and then ranked down. And I'm just like, it's funny to always read that.
I mean, it's what happens.
It is. I don't get it. Literally prime example of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And then Overwatch just being like, oh, we're revamping it all. And it's like, cool. No one asked. It was fine-ish. Like that?
Fine-ish is the right way to put it.
I guess we're closing on time, but we got a couple minutes if you wanted to talk about The Witcher a little bit also.
No, I can save it till next time.
Okay, I feel like, yeah, it's going to be one of those things you want to talk about for a
while.
The
only thing I'll throw out is the other thing that we started playing is Gears 5 on PC campaign.
Yeah, I guess, like, if so far, what would you say about it?
I mean, I like it. You know, I mean, it's a game that I have expectations that it needs to deliver a certain thing, and so far it's doing that. The area where it's not successful so far is the environment. By that, I mean it's very colorful, daylight outside. And if you remember Gears 1, the whole thing was like dark and shitty, which was badass.
Gears 1, it was like, it pretty much had like a gray filter over it. It's like even the brightest scenes, like it was still like depressing looking. It's like, yeah, it's sunny, but it's like, it's also like very overcasty, and like you're in a ruined city, so it's just like fire, like reds and like grays of like fires and destroyed buildings. And then it's like Gears 5, the first mission literally starts out on like a tropical ass island.
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing here, guys?
with like a bunch. Yeah, and then like even the episode in like when in like the city is all bright and colorful, you know, like marble floors everywhere, shiny reflections, and you know, bright blue skies and bright green trees, and it's just like, man. It's like, I get it. You have to like make games that are like graphically nice to like appease people, but it's just like, yeah, like you said, like it lost its like identity. It's like it doesn't look like a Gears game.
Right.
It plays like it, but it's just like,
that's the right way to put it. The gunplay feels like Gears. The cover system.
Yeah, I mean, you can still
like
go
Gears.
up and chainsaw people in half and blow their fucking heads off. You'll just be doing it in like a sunny paradise,
Right,
not in a
the
gritty,
chunks.
destroyed city. The Gears of War headshot noise is still like, I'm like, whatever sound y'all use for that, I'm like, it's one of the best sounds in gaming. Just that pop and that squish sound. That's so good. Yeah.
On that note,
I'm curious, as we get into Gears, I'm curious to see what you think of the story, because it's like, I have a feeling you'll have some thoughts on the story as it goes on. So we'll follow up on this one. You like that? Nice.
are you smiling? I think it's time to call it.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Episode 63 of the Big Shit Cumcast.
Let's go play some fucking Gwent.
You want to play some Gwent?
My family's being burned alive by a werewolf. Help! How about a round of Gwent?